Good communication has been called the lifeblood of any meaningful close relationship. Communication itself is the foundation of our interactions with other people. It can take the form of a smile, a handshake, a kind word, an angry stare, a tearful goodbye, a wink across the room, or a warm conversation. All of these words and actions combine to send a message, to communicate. Research on strong relationships has consistently shown that good communication is one of the cornerstones of a healthy life. To strengthen communication, we need to understand what communication is and how to make it better. Real, genuine communication makes it possible for the people close to you to feel cared for and listened to, and assures them that their thoughts and ideas have been clearly understood. Yeah, you get me. Communication in relationships is not only about what we say or suggest, but about how we say it and the strategies we use to send out our messages. It's been said that you cannot not communicate. It's impossible not to communicate. In other words, even if you're sitting in a corner and not talking to your partner, you're still sending a message, such as leave me alone. John Gottman, a leading expert in relationships, has found that a key difference in healthy versus unhealthy relationships is the amount of positive rather than negative interactions that take place. Strengthening communication so that it is constantly positive, open, and meaningful is important for building better relationships. Take a moment to think about a problem or conflict that you've had with another person that might be affecting your mood. We're going to begin focusing on managing disagreements with other people by using problem solving. The first step is to identify the problem. So, seeing the problem as inside you or another person, your problem is you're lazy, you never help me, everything you do. The first thing in managing your disagreements is to identify the problem and treat the problem as a separate thing that can be addressed by both of you. You are not the problem, and neither is the other person. The problem is the dishes need to be done. There's a lot of work to do, and we're both very busy. My depression is a real problem here. It's making me more irritable. So now you're two people trying to solve the conflict that you were thinking about earlier. Some ideas at this brainstorm, some ideas. At this point, we're not concerned whether or not the ideas are good. The This is about generating alternatives. Remember, we looked at the problem-solving approach, the keeping it real videos. This is about generating alternatives. The more alternatives you have, the more freedom you have. You're thinking, imagine 1 or 2 realistic results that would be good for you. Focus on what you can do to increase the chances of one of these healthy outcomes are going to happen. We could, I could, Nonviolent communication, NVC, offers practical and powerful techniques based on a conscious interdependence and the concept of power with instead of power over others. When someone else says or does something and we are upset, notice the way I said that. Someone did something and we are upset, not someone upset us. When someone does or says something and we're upset, we can behave like jackals. We can blame the other person, we can blame ourselves, and we can get ourselves hooked into fear and anger and shame. Jackals are pack animals. For them, it's all about who's on top, who's right, who's wrong. If I win, you gotta lose. Everything is seen as deserving either a reward or punishment for themselves or for other people. There's no real choice in this. Always judging, analyzing, blaming. Or we can be like giraffes, connecting to our feelings and the feelings of others who matter to us, letting go of who's right or who's wrong and focusing on how to make things better for yourself and for the people you love. Nonviolent communication skills emphasize personal responsibility for our actions and the choices we make when we respond to others, as well as how to contribute to relationships based in cooperation and collaboration. Now, the nonviolent communication process, you start with observations, just the facts, no judgments, no accusations. Take away all those hot language buttons. We observe what is actually happening in a situation, what we're observing others saying or doing that is either enriching or not enriching our lives. The trick is to be able to articulate this observation without introducing any judgment or evaluation, to simply say what people are doing that we either like or we don't like. And then we talk about our feelings. We state how we feel when we observe this action. Are we hurt, scared, joyful, amused, irritated? What's our emotional response? These are our emotional responses, not our thoughts. Right? There's no such thing as feeling betrayed. That's an evaluation of an experience. We tell ourselves that we've been betrayed. What we're actually feeling might be anger, disappointment, sadness, etc. What are you feeling? What's the emotional response? What's going on inside? That's usually directed towards our needs. There's something that we need, a preference that we have that isn't being met, and that's triggering this unpleasant thought, this unpleasant emotion. There's a value that isn't being met or isn't being respected. So then we say, what preferences are connected to the feelings we've identified? And awareness of these three components is present when we use non-violent communication to clearly and honestly express how we are. So the needs we have are generally universal. Other people have them too. They can identify with them. It's what you want, not how you think you're going to get it. That's the next bit. The fourth component expresses something specific that we would like from the other person that would enrich our lives or make life more manageable for us. It's one of the many ways to meet your needs. Not the only way. And are you ready to hear no? If you are, it's a request. If you're not ready to hear the word no, it's a demand. And the more demands you make, the more you're setting up a conflict, the more you're taking their choice away from them. And that gets people's backs up. Get your back up, isn't it? So the concrete actions we're observing are affecting our well-being, how we're feeling in relation to what we're observing, our preferences, desires that are creating our feelings, the concrete actions that we request in order to enrich our lives. So, Johnny's mum comes home after a hard day's work and finds Johnny's muddy football kit all over the floor and Johnny playing Call of Duty. Now, she could get hooked by all her fatigue and frustration and unleash on Johnny. I know we've all been in that scenario. But mum's been around the block a few times and decides to actually communicate with her son just to see how it goes. Johnny, When I come home after working all day and I see your football kit all over the floor, I feel frustrated because I think that I'm tired and hungry and I've got to do all this work before I can unwind after work. I would like us both to be able to relax after we come home and maybe even spend a bit of time with each other before having to go out and do it all over again. What do you think? You go for the low-hanging fruit. You go for the buy-in, something that they can identify with. Now, Johnny knows something's up with his mum. And he doesn't really want to get into a fight with her. He's just about to level up. He says he'd like that too. Now it's time for Mum to ask for what she wants. Do you think you could put your football kit in the laundry bin when you come home? Whoa, right, Johnny really walked into that one. And he's just about to level up. He saw what she did there, and now it's his turn. When you ask me to put my kit away, I feel frustrated because I'm in the middle of something that matters to me right now, and I think that I'll lose my flow if I stop. We both want to unwind and have a good evening after coming home. Could you let me finish this bit of the game before I clear up my kit? Okay. The language there is a little bit formal. You kind of get the idea. When A happens, I feel B because I think C. It's not you did it to me. I think C, and that causes me to feel B. Right, back to Albert Ellis. Right, activating event. The belief about the event and the consequence. I would really like X. Now you're trying to, in any negotiation, you get the other person to buy in before you tell them the price. Right? You got to know that they want the car before you try and tell them how much it's going to cost them. Do you think once the common goals established, then you say, well, okay, we both want this. Could you do X? Now, the other person's going to have some thoughts and feelings about that. So it's negotiating. So when someone puts this on you, you say, okay, when you say that you want me to do X, I feel whatever, because I think, well, you know, it's going to cost me. I'm in the middle of something else I want to do. It's conflicting with something else. Now we both want the X, right? So could you do Z? Right? And you know, two people working towards something that you both want rather than an argument, because you've got the buy-in. Right. Now, there's two parts to non-violent communication. Showing empathy, listening through the four components, listening empathically to what their observations, feelings, needs, and requests are. And then being honest, having the courage to show up and tell the other person what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you need right now, and asking them to do some stuff that's going to make your life and hopefully their life a little bit easier, a little bit richer. So those of you who remember the Keeping It Real video series, we talked about courage. And that's a man standing out under a storm. Bring it. Whatever comes, I'm ready. Right. So we're going to have a bit of a quiz here, a bit of a game. I'm going to read a sentence and you decide whether it's a giraffe comment, a clear observation, feeling, need, and request, or a jackal statement, all about judgment and right and wrong. And I'm going to ask you to think about it. So we've done one, done two out here. It's way too late to be making such an awful racket. That's a judgment. That's a jackal thing. It's 2 a.m. and I hear your stereo playing. That's an observation. Okay. So I just looked in the refrigerator and saw that there's no food. What's that? That's a giraffe statement. That's an observation. There's no blame there. There's no judgment. It's just a fact. I looked in the refrigerator and saw that there's no food. Of course, if there was some food, but not very much, then that would become a jackal statement. That's a big exaggeration. You say what the fact is. Don't add to it, don't embellish it. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I think you're in denial. That sounds like someone's trying to be helpful, trying to compromise, but they're not. They're judging you. That's a jackal. It's just perhaps a more polite, or certainly a more technical way of saying you're wrong. I'm trying to play the psychoanalyst there using words like denial. Right? It's a difference between the sort of work that I do with people and the sort of work you'll find from people who are into the psychodynamic or psychoanalytic approaches, where they're always right. And if the plan isn't working, it's because you're doing it wrong. It's not because it's the wrong plan. They are never wrong. You disagree with them. You're in denial. You haven't got their insight. You haven't got their gift. Yeah, I think you can hear my jackal coming out there. You can't talk to me like that. Is that a jackal or a giraffe? That's definitely a jackal, isn't it? You can't. Boom. There it is. No choice in the matter. I'm telling you. I see you looking away while I'm talking, and you've been speaking so quietly I can't hear you. I'm feeling uncomfortable because I'm needing a connection right now. That's a giraffe. I see you looking away while I'm talking. That's an observation, and you've been speaking so quietly. Another observation. I can't hear you. It's another statement of fact. Now comes the feeling. I'm feeling uncomfortable because I need a connection right now. It could be a thought, it could be an evaluation of the experience. I need a connection right now. A couple of observations, statement of feeling. You haven't made a request, but that's definitely giraffe speak. You're not listening to me. That's a jackal. Judgment right away. From their behavior, you are making an evaluation of what's happening. Maybe they are listening to you, but they can't think of how to respond, or maybe they're shy, or maybe they're a bit intimidated. It's half an hour to go before the show starts, and I can see that you're pacing. Are you nervous? That's giraffe. That's an observation. And then checking in. They're not making a judgment that you're nervous. They're checking whether you're nervous or not. Saying what they can see. They're saying what they observe happening. And then they're asking you a question. You wasted the whole day and didn't do any shopping. Yeah, that's a jackal, isn't it? They're telling you what you did. They know what you did. I can see your dog running around without a leash and it's barking. I'm scared. That's a giraffe. I'm not saying your dog's scaring me. I'm saying I see your dog running around without a leash and it's barking and I feel scared. It's not a dog's responsibility that you're scared. That's an observation and an expression of feelings. I see you're bored with this game. That's a jackal right there. I'm making a decision about what you're feeling. I might be right. It's not the most exciting game in the world. Only a couple more. You're scaring me now. That's a jackal. You're making someone else responsible for how you feel. They may be behaving in a particular way and you're feeling scared or intimidated. They might be doing it on purpose. They might not. But by you saying you're scaring me now, you're trying to manipulate them into doing something else. You're making them responsible for your feelings. You are responsible for how you feel. No one else can change the way you feel. Only you can do that. Remember that problem or conflict that you had with the other person that was affecting your mood. So something they did or something they said that you found hard to accept. That's what's affecting how you feel. What was the emotion that you felt? What was the need that you had that wasn't being met? What was the thing that you wanted to bring more of into your life that wasn't happening? What do you think the other person was feeling? And what needs do you think they were trying to fulfill by doing what they did or saying what they said? Now, if they were able to communicate this without getting into judgments of who's right and wrong and demanding that everyone fits in with what they want, what would they say in OFNR language? Observation, feeling, need, and request. If they said it this way, how would you respond on your best day? Using observation, feeling, need, and request. And what is it that you feel now? This is my email and my phone number. Please feel free to contact me if you have any thoughts or questions about any of the things we've discussed. Thanks a lot for watching.